Hey, Cody Sperber back again, and welcome to another awesome training video where I'm going to show you how I analyze a real wholesale opportunity. Let's dive into today's training. It's always kind of weird when you say today's training. Let's dive into today's training. All right, let's do this. Now, if you're new to my channel, I'm all about showing you how to break free of the rat race using real estate and real estate investing as a path towards financial freedom. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you're notified whenever my new videos are posted. Plus, if you leave me a comment down below telling me that you're brand new to the channel, I'm going to reply back and I'm going to hook you up with a free gift worth $97. Now, before we begin, let's just review the basic steps for wholesaling a property. Step number 1 is to find a flippable house. Step number 2 is to analyze the deal to figure out if it's a deal or a dud. Step number 3 is to make the seller an offer. Step number 4 is to flip the paperwork over to a cash buyer, which is typically a landlord or a rehabber. And step number 5 is to cash your profit check, rinse, and repeat. Now, I have lots of lead generation videos showing you how to find a flippable house, right? You can click that link up there. We also have videos on this channel where I show you how to find cash buyers, all right? So go ahead and watch those. In this particular video, let's focus on step number 2, which is analyzing the deal. And in order to properly analyze a deal, there's a few items or details or estimations or numbers that we have to first determine. All right, some of these come from having conversations with the homeowner, some come from online public records, some come from using a deal analyzer tool to be able to help make the calculations. All right, so here are the items that we need to gather. Number 1 is called ARV, which stands for after repaired value. Number 2 is an estimation of repairs that the property needs. Number 3 is an estimation of all the costs associated with selling a property, so all the realtor fees and closing costs. And number 4 is the profit that you want to make as a real estate wholesaler. Now let's start with ARV. Now ARV is determined by a process called comping the property. So if you ever hear somebody say, we're comping a property, this is what they're talking about. And whenever you comp a property, we're basically looking to determine the subject property's value. All right, so you have a house right here. We're trying to figure out this house's value by looking at all the recently sold properties that are similar in size, age, and location to the subject property. So in this case study's case, the subject property is a 2014 square foot, one-story house that was built in 1958 that has 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a 1-car garage. So what we want to do, and you're probably going to want to write this down, because this is what my mentor kind of trained me on, and so you're going to want to write this down. What you want to do is you want to find other similar properties that are within plus or minus 500 square feet in size of the subject property, plus or minus 10 years of age of the subject property, same amount of stories as the subject property. So if it's a 1-story, stick with finding other deals that have recently sold that are 1-story. If it's 2-story, do 2 stories. Similar beds and baths as the subject property. That sold within the last 90 days or less near the subject property's location. I know that was kind of a mouthful, but we're basically trying to compare, like, how do you compare apples to oranges? All right, well, you got to try to find as many apples among the oranges, if this makes any sense at all. And we do that by just making sure they're similar. You'll see what I mean here in a minute. My general rule of thumb is to start within the same subdivision if possible, right? So if the subject property is right here, I find all the recently sold properties within that same subdivision. And if I can't, and there's not enough comps within that subdivision, we'll move out by quarter-mile increments until we have enough potential comps to pull from. Now, obviously, the closer to the subject property that you can match all those different criteria pieces, the better. Now, if you're a real estate agent and you have access to the MLS, then comping is actually quite easy because you have access to the multiple listing system where every single recently sold home, all that data is in there, so it makes it easy to quickly see what all the comps are, but most people don't have access to the MLS, especially if you're brand new. So let me show you how to use Redfin, right? Redfin.com, to be able to comp your properties because it's free. All right, so first thing that we want to do when we're at redfin.com is we want to put in the subject property's address. Now in this case, it's 8025 East Clarendon in Scottsdale, Arizona. Now the results page is going to look like this, and there's going to be a bunch of info that we can gather from this page. First is Redfin has its own version of a Zestimate, just like you would see on Zillow. In this particular case, it says the home is currently worth $347,614. All right, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see this section called Facts and Statistics about the zip code that this particular property is located in. So the zip code is 85251, all right? And this is going to give you a generalized idea of what houses are selling for within the last 30 days in the 85251 zip code, which in this case is $279 per square foot. So just based on this, since our subject property is 2,014 square feet in size, that would make the value of our property, if we took 2014 and we multiplied it by $279 per square foot, the value of our property would be $561,906. Now, this is too general of a value because it's taken into account every single property sold within the last 30 days in the entire zip code, right? So it's taken mansions and houses and, it's all over the place. So we want to dial this number in and not make it so general. And in order to do that, we need to scroll over to the section that says About This Home. All right? And right underneath the map in this section is a link that says Map Nearby Homes for Sale. What I want you to do is click this link. Now, a map's going to pull up, and it's going to show you all the recently sold homes in the area. Now, our subject property is this corner house right here. So what we want to do next is refine our search criteria by clicking More Filters. All right, first, we want to make sure that you toggle this little toggle button right here under Listing Status from For Sale over to Sold, because we only really want to see recently sold properties. Next, you want to make sure that you select last 3 months. You could drop this down, you can pick different options, but like I said earlier, you want to try to get all recently sold properties within the last 3 months. All right, and that's what this is going to do. It's going to show you every sold property within the last 90 days. And if you're having a hard time finding comps, go ahead and open this up to last 6 months. All right, next, select House. This is going to show only properties that are houses that have recently sold. And the last thing we want to do, since the subject property is a 4-bedroom, select 4 under beds. Now at this point, we've narrowed down our recently sold comps to just 4-bedroom properties that have sold within the last 90 days. Now, if your subject property has a pool or a basement or any other special amenities, you can select any of these choices underneath Home Amenities, but in this case, there are none that we really care about anyway. And we've already gotten, it looks like, 5 really good comps in the area. So let's just look at each one quickly to see if any of these are fully rehab properties that represent a good ARV. All right, so looks like 80th does, yes. Yes, Osborne does. Mitchell, on the inside, Mitchell's fully rehabbed. Yes, Mitchell does. Yes, Clarendon does. But it looks like 83rd, which happens to be our lowest comp, it does not. All right, there's not even pictures. So we're going to go ahead and delete this comp from our list of comps by just sliding the map over a little bit so we don't include it. And what you're left with is 4 really great comps that all represent recently sold properties that are fully rehabbed, and they represent ARV. And as you can see here, if you look at the very bottom right here, the average price per square foot of all 4 of these comps is $259. So take our subject property that has 2,014 square feet, multiply it by the $259 per square foot, and you're going to get $521,626. So based on these comps, the subject property, once it's fully fixed up, is worth somewhere between $521,000 all the way up to maybe $550,000, depending on what you do to it, which is the max comp in the area. And now that we have our ARV, it's time to move on to number 2, which is estimating repairs. Since we're only wholesaling the property, we're not actually buying it and renovating it, all right? We're just quickly flipping it. We only need to get within a basic ballpark for estimating repairs. So the formula I like to use is I look at pictures or video of the subject property. Maybe I have the seller send them to me, and I make a determination of whether or not it's a light rehab, a medium rehab, or a full rehab. All right, if it's a light rehab, I multiply the square foot of the property by $15 per square foot. If it's a medium rehab, I multiply the square foot of the property by $25 a square foot. And if it's a full rehab, I multiply the square foot of the property by $35 a square foot. And this is going to get me in a generalized ballpark of what the repairs are going to cost for that particular property. So in this case, the subject property was built in 1958. All right, and after looking at the pictures, I could tell that it was just old and outdated. It was a full rehab to get the property fully fixed up to ARV. All right, just like when we look at those pictures of all the fully fixed up houses, they are really, really nice. They're really doing a great job with the remodel. So by multiplying 2,014 square feet by $35 for the full rehab estimate, that's going to give us a rehab estimate of $70,490. All right, let's just recap so far. We've estimated ARV between $520,000 to $550,000. We estimated rehab costs around $70,000. Next thing we need to do is determine what the estimated closing costs are going to be for this deal once it's fully rehabbed and sold on the open market. This includes realtor fees and closing costs. So I like to use 8% of the ARV to help estimate this number. All right, yours might be a little higher, but I like to at least use 8%. So if ARV is going to be $525,000, for example, estimated closing cost for a $525,000 sale is going to be $525,000 times 0.08, which equals $42,000. So estimated closing cost for this transaction is going to be $42K. Now that leaves us only one more item to estimate, and it's my favorite one of all of them, which is your estimated profit as a real estate wholesaler. So if you want to make 10K, put in 10K. If you want to make 15K on the deal or $25,000 on that deal, use that number. Just understand this. All the work we've done up to this point is used to come up with what we think our offer price should be. It's the inputs that on our next video, I'm going to actually show you what tool we use to put in those inputs to be able to come up what our offer price is. So if whatever amount you want to estimate for your profit as a wholesaler, that's the number I would use. All right, and I use this particular tool I'm going to show you on the next video on all my wholesale deals. It helps me come up with my maximum allowable offer, and it helps me compare whether or not it's a deal or dud. It helps me understand whether I should wholesale it, rehab it, or keep it in my rental portfolio. All right, but you're going to have to wait for that video. Until next time, I hope you got a ton of value out of this particular training video. If you did, please smash that like button and let YouTube know this is a valuable video. It's a small way for you to return the favor, so please do that right. Meow. See you on the next one. Until then, I'm Cody Sperber, the Clever Investor, signing off for now. Take care, comb your hair, Spurbs out.